Before a resident is allowed to operate, they run a brutal cognitive training system designed to force knowledge deep into memory. A system built on pressure, compression, interrogation, and mental rehearsal. And once you understand it, you'll realize something uncomfortable. The way you study right now would get you kicked out of medical training in a week. By the end of this video, you'll see exactly how surgeons train their memory and why their system makes forgetting almost impossible. Let's start with the first protocol. Chapter 1, Compression. Your brain cannot handle complexity. Psychologists call this cognitive load. Working memory can only hold a few items at once, about 7 pieces of information. Push beyond that, and your brain collapses under the weight. Now think about anatomy. The human body contains over 7,500 named structures. Arteries, veins, nerves, ligaments, muscles. If surgeons tried to memorize every piece individually, they would drown. So they cheat, they compress information. Experts call this chunking. Instead of memorizing dozens of disconnected facts, surgeons compress them into patterns. A first-year medical student sees chaos: 3 arteries, 4 nerves, 2 veins. A surgeon sees one pattern, the carotid sheath. One concept instead of 10 details. Thousands of data points compressed into a few hundred mental scripts. It's like zip filing information. Your brain isn't storing loose groceries anymore. It's carrying organized bags. This is why experts appear to memorize impossible amounts of information. They aren't storing more, they're compressing better. Radiologists do the same thing. A beginner sees random shapes on an X-ray. An expert sees one pattern. Pneumonia, cardiologists do it. A novice sees 10 lab values. A cardiologist sees one pattern. Heart failure. Compression turns chaos into meaning. But here's the problem. Compression makes knowledge easier to store. It does not guarantee you'll remember it. Your brain is still a leaky bucket, which brings us to the second system surgeons use. Chapter 2, Interrogation. In surgical training, there is a tradition that terrifies every medical student. It's called pimping. You're standing in the operating room. The attending surgeon suddenly turns to you. What artery supplies the gallbladder? Your heart spikes, your brain panics. Everyone is watching. You either answer or freeze. This isn't humiliation, it's neuroscience. Researchers behind the book Make It Stick discovered something shocking. Retrieving information strengthens memory far more than reviewing it. Reading creates familiarity. Retrieval creates learning. When you read a textbook, your brain recognizes the words. You think you know the material? You don't. This is called the illusion of competence. You feel smart until someone asks a question. Then your brain goes blank. Surgeons eliminate that illusion immediately. They replace reading with interrogation. Every day, every round, every procedure, questions, constantly. What nerve runs here? What complication happens next? What drug prevents it? Your brain sweats trying to retrieve answers. And that stress is exactly what locks the memory in place. Studies show students who practice retrieval retain 50% more information than students who reread notes. 50%, because memory strengthens through struggle. Think of retrieval like lifting weights. Reading is watching someone else at the gym. Retrieval is actually lifting. Surgeons don't sit quietly highlighting textbooks. They attack their memory every day. Flashcards, question banks, oral interrogation. They test themselves constantly. If studying feels comfortable, they assume they're doing it wrong. But even interrogation has limits, because memory still fades over time. Which brings us to the third system surgeons rely on. Chapter 3, The Forgetting Curve. In 1885, psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered something brutal about the brain. Memory collapses quickly. Within 24 hours, you forget nearly half of what you learn. Within a week, most of it is gone. Your brain is designed to forget. It's a survival filter. If everything were stored permanently, your mind would drown in useless information. But surgeons can't afford that. They must remember procedures years later, so they use an algorithm, spaced repetition. Instead of reviewing randomly, they review information right before the brain forgets it. Not too soon, not too late. Exactly at the edge of forgetting. Medical students often use software like Anki to automate this. The algorithm tracks your memory strength, then schedules the exact moment to review. Day 1, Day 3, Day 7, Day 30. Every time you retrieve the information at the brink of forgetting, the memory becomes stronger, longer lasting, more permanent. It's like patching holes in the leaky bucket. Eventually, the memory stops leaking. But here's the thing. Even spaced repetition isn't enough, because surgeons aren't memorizing trivia. They're memorizing life and death procedures. Which brings us to the fourth system. Chapter 4, Mental Surgery. Before a surgeon ever performs a real operation, they've already done it dozens of times. In their head, this is called mental rehearsal. Athletes use it, pilots use it, elite performers everywhere use it. But surgeons depend on it because operating rooms are unforgiving environments. You cannot pause, you cannot Google, you cannot restart. So surgeons rehearse the procedure mentally, step by step. Incision. Expose tissue. Identify vessels. Clamp artery, suture incision. Every movement, every risk, every complication. Researchers using brain imaging discovered something fascinating. When surgeons visualize a procedure, the same neural circuits activate as when they perform it physically. The brain treats mental rehearsal almost like real practice. This is why experienced surgeons appear calm during emergencies. They've already solved the problem in their imagination. They have rehearsed bleeding scenarios, equipment failures, unexpected anatomy. They fail in their mind, so they don't fail on the operating table. But here's the final piece of the system, and it's the one most people ignore. Chapter 5, Deliberate Practice. Most people practice the whole skill repeatedly, play the whole song, read the whole chapter, run the whole process again. Wrong approach. This leads to something called the performance plateau. You get good enough, then you stop improving. Psychologist Anders Ericsson, who studied elite performers for decades, discovered the real driver of expertise: deliberate practice. Instead of repeating the whole task, experts isolate weaknesses. One stitch, one knot, one motion. Then they drill that weakness until it disappears. Surgeons break procedures into micro skills: hand positioning, instrument control, tissue tension. Then they practice only the weak parts, with feedback, with correction, immediately. No bad habits allowed to grow. Atul Gawande, one of the most respected surgeons in America, once admitted he had plateaued after years of practice. So he did something unusual. He hired a coach. Another surgeon watched him operate and critiqued every movement. Within months, his complication rates dropped. Because expertise requires outside eyes. Nobody can see their own blind spots. Not musicians, not athletes, not surgeons, and definitely not you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You now know the memory system surgeons use: compression, interrogation, spaced repetition, mental rehearsal, deliberate practice. 5 systems. Together they create a brain that rarely forgets. But there's still a problem, a big one, because memory is useless if you can't focus long enough to learn anything. And modern brains are completely broken. Notifications, scrolling, constant distraction. The average person checks their phone hundreds of times per day. Your attention span is collapsing. Even the best memory system fails without focus, which is why elite performers use a completely different method to rebuild their concentration from scratch. It's brutal, but it works. That's exactly what I break down in the next video. The deep focus protocol that turns 2 hours of work into 8. Watch that next. Your brain will never operate the same way again.